I'm going to take you on a short journey. This new building is their new headquarters in Gothenburg, and I want it to serve as a demonstration of how good indoor climate and low energy use can be obtained. What was interesting about this particular new build, even though they were renting, they had the opportunity to influence the final building energy consumption. They were going to be the main installation technology firm. So they were forced to cooperate with the architect, engineers and architects working with each other. Quite unusual, maybe. The architect used by the developer, landlord, previously is a gentleman called Mr. Vingård. I don't know if our architect friend from Stockholm knows this gentleman. Within the engineering community, he's known as an energy heretic because of his huge glass facades. However, Bengt Dahlgren had an ace up their sleeve, and they had already decided with their future landlord that the green building status would be achieved. Does anyone know what green building status is? Oh, good, the architect does. Excellent. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's taken the National Building Code for energy consumption and reducing it by 25%. Actually quite achievable for most European countries. So this was a scheme that started up, I think maybe about 5 or 10 years ago, but it's quite strong. But maybe we need to go a step further. The tenant in other buildings in the area, other new buildings in the area, were really happy. And the landlord knew that the large glass facades he had on the other buildings built by Mr. Vingård had very good light penetration, very good working conditions. So they didn't really want to compromise on the glass surface. And as I said earlier, Swedish Heritage, because it was an old site, were also very keen to make sure that they kept the style. In conclusion, Bengt Dahlgren are going to move in the autumn of this year. They will have achieved their green building status quite comfortably. The Swedish state will come round and do their checks in a couple of years' time to make sure that their energy calculations are correct. The total goal for all energy use, that's tenant use and building use, is 75 kilowatt hours per metre squared a year. Calculations, though, are a little bit on the cautious side at 85. But this, of course, is with a safety factor. They estimate the building energy to be at 50 kilowatt hours per metre squared a year. Not exactly a passive house, but for Sweden at present, I think it's quite acceptable. But as I hinted earlier, we've still got a long way to go if we're going to get to the nearly net zero energy houses in the future. When I visited the site at the beginning of June, it looked like that. It was just about ready to have its pressure test completed to see how tight the building was, to make sure there weren't any leaks. And that is an artist's impression of Mr. Vingård's work, of how it's going to look at the end of this year. If you wanted to save energy, it's simple. Turn everything off. And then, you know, see what it's like to work, live in those sort of buildings. So, yeah, human comfort in buildings is absolutely the key.